Agent Romanoff. You miss me?
Oh yeah, Charles, we got ourselves an X-Men fan.
Captain.
Your Highness.
Captain, big fan, Spider-Man. Hey everyone.
Hey guys, and welcome to FilmArtsy, your number one source for all things films and movies. And recently, we actually got this really awesome interview between Paul Rudd and Chris Evans that was really awesome to see, which was posted by Variety. And with everything kind of being shut down and not getting to see the typical movie press reviews that we typically see around this time with summer movies, it was really refreshing to take a look at two of our favorite actors from the Marvel Cinematic Universe coming together to not only do something fun, but kind of have some lighthearted talk about what these two actors, Paul Rudd and Chris Evans, are up to nowadays. And they did this interview segment between each other. And there were some great moments along the way, so we definitely wanted to do a recap of this just so you guys can see what's been going on and see some of the lightheartedness that also went into it. So let's go ahead and jump into it. But real quick, if you want more content like this on maybe a faster basis, make sure you guys are following us on Instagram. There's a link in the description down below. We post a ton of content over there. Okay, let's go back to the video. Now, first up, we get to see Paul Rudd and Chris Evans talking a little bit about Chris Evans' show Defending Jacob, and there's also some memes of playing around with an electronic Iron Man toy.
Well, I mean, from an acting standpoint, it was.
Oh, go ahead. No, you were saying. No, keep going.
We did get to see Paul Rudd open up a little bit on what it's like working for a show that you're not typically used to doing.
It is true, you know, when you have that kind of singular vision, it makes it a lot easier. I'm always amazed. I don't have that much experience with doing a show, but when different directors are coming on every other week, it must be a little challenging.
We also got to see Chris Evans and Paul Rudd change the topic of discussion up a little bit, where they talked about the TV show Living with Yourself, which was a Netflix series that came out not too long ago, which stars Paul Rudd also playing as himself in this cloning fiasco that happens. And Chris actually asks Paul a very important question.
I think the thing everyone wants to know, did you get paid double?
No.
Did you?
No.
No,
And it became a little bit easier. You know, it's a weird thing that you just, there's no one way of doing it, I guess. I mean, I've talked to a couple of other actors that have done this kind of thing, and the thing that I got before I started was that everyone's approach was different and is different, and you just kind of find what works best for you. And then, yeah, I found because I didn't use an acting double, and I didn't want to be reacting to somebody I was acting opposite, even though
I was just going to ask that. So you're just reacting to nothing.
We also got to see Paul Rudd's answer when asked by Chris Evans which group he's most proud of being in terms of being friends in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The show was about them, but it's an interesting thing to be a part of. I came on at the end, was only in it for just a blip, but I felt like, I just don't want to get in the way. I'm like a prop on this show. It's not about Mike Hannigan, but there's a very interesting feeling to be a part of something that has that kind of profound impact on pop culture.
We also get this cool little behind the scenes story about what it was like for Paul Rudd when he first met some of the cast members when filming Captain America: Civil War.
The thing is it is a surreal feeling to be a part of something that, you know, is seen in every country. And when it was, you know, working with you on Avengers, really on Civil War for that first time.
Yeah.
You know, that scene that we had where we were in the car park.
Yeah.
And there was.
I think it's the first day I met you.
Yeah, and there was a real kind of nervousness about Scott Lang, and I just really kind of played into that because that was part of what I was feeling anyway.
Then on the other hand, we actually got to see Chris Evans open up a little bit as to what it's like playing Captain America in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You know, in a very personal, intimate way, you kind of feel a little bit of like a pebble in your shoe that you could be doing more, you could be trying harder, or, you know, any little thing that you go through in your life. If the narrative in your head for, 10 years has been trying to think how this character would think, it's hard not to absorb at least a little bit of it, and like I said, end up feeling really bad about yourself. No, but it's I wouldn't say I feel pressure from outside. I'd say, you put pressure on yourself, I suppose. In the Marvel vein, let's come on, I'm hitting the ball back to you.
And then also, Chris Evans talked a little bit about what it's like working in the industry and how he's always had to be very careful as to which role he would be willing to take on, because it does affect his image as an actor and a role model, and that's something that he really considers heavily.
You never want to let the tail wag. You don't want to cut your cloth according to perception, and you want to make sure your creative appetite is just what's driving you. You can't deny that people might see you a certain way, and you can't deny that, even playing a certain role over a long enough period of time, you get creatively curious and restless. But I really try to go out of my way to make sure that the choices I make within this industry, the choices I make in my personal life, aren't dictated by how I'm perceived.
Then we got to see Chris Evans open up a little bit on what it's like working in multiple types of roles with different types of characters with their own different personalities.
In the military, and is magnanimous and taciturn and all these Captain America-esque qualities, but if there's a great director and if there's a great writer and I just feel like collaborating with them, I'll pursue it. So there's a real cocktail of reasons why I choose to do what I do, but like I said, I could be, incredibly varied, or I could be incredibly quotidian for a long time and not mind.
Then on the flip side, we got some pretty fun and upbeat stuff where we see Chris Evans talking about the time that the Avengers cast decided to play the word game Boggle.
The person who is going to win is Paul Rudd. The person who's going to come in nail-biting second is Don Cheadle. Ruffalo will be way at the end. Ruffalo, he'll have like 2 words on his whole list, but he got asbestos. He found asbestos on the Boggle board. It's a real anomaly.
But that's because Mark fights the valiant fight. He's probably out right now marching against asbestos reform.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say, he has no time for children's games. He's doing God's work. True.
Yeah.
We also got to see Chris Evans open up a little bit as to whether or not he's very competitive off screen.
I get super competitive and if there was any kind of group activity, like a Trivial Pursuit or any kind of game,
that was a good set for games.
If you ever had
competitive? No, I mean, well, I tell you what, acting is a great. It's like if you're gonna break a mare or something. Acting will kind of break that in you. It's very cyclical. It's very never-ending. Even if you kind of get the medicine for that competitive nature, it reinvents. So acting, if you want to be endlessly miserable, be a competitive actor.
And we're gonna get frozen tonight. The game is called Frozen Blackjack. Okay, so we're gonna play the first round, and then we're gonna see what happens. Okay, I'll just deal normal blackjack to you. I'll be the dealer.
All right.
5. That's good, and then me up.
Yeah! All right.
Okay, yeah, I don't like this game already. I don't like it.
Gets to pour
a pitcher of water.
And then we got to see a little bit of Chris Evans and Paul Rudd talking about the pressures that comes with playing a character that's known so well.
More often than not, falling short of a character like Steve Rogers. You know what I mean? He's an impossible, the bar is set impossibly high. So, in a very personal, intimate way, you kind of feel a little bit of like a pebble in your shoe that you could be doing more, you could be trying harder, or, any little thing that you go through in your life. If the narrative in your head for, 10 years has been trying to think how this character would think, it's hard not to absorb at least a little bit of it. And I wouldn't say I feel pressure from outside. I'd say, you put pressure on yourself, I suppose.
But real quick, if you want more content like this on maybe a faster basis, make sure you guys are following us on Instagram. There's a link in the description down below. We post a ton of content over there. Okay, let's go back to the video. So what did you guys think of this interview? Did you think it was interesting? And do you like these kind of speedy, quick reviews where we look through the stuff like this? Let us know in the comments down below. We will link the original video in the description description so you guys can go and check out the full interview. There's some great stuff in there as well. So if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. We'll see you guys all next time with a brand new video.
I'm about to.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Hi.
See you guys.
Know anybody?